Hello my beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about a new release from Huda Beauty. These are the new Pastel Obsessions palettes. There are 3 different colors: lilac, mint, and rose. These are priced at $29 US a piece. These are currently available from the Huda Beauty website. That's where I ordered mine. And these will be available online and in store from Sephora on March 12th. Since we have 3 palettes to go over today, and I do want to do some comparisons between these and the ColourPop pastel palettes, I'm not going to be including tutorials in this video. I am wearing the Pastel Lilac palette today. So if you're interested in seeing looks with these palettes, just leave a comment, let me know, and I'll do a separate video where I do a look with each one of these. But today, we're just going to go in depth to each palette. I'm going to show you swatches of everything. We're going to do some comparisons. There are some new formulas in these Pastel Obsessions palettes, so I just want to kind of give you the rundown on those first before we get into each individual palette. It says here, each palette includes buttery mattes. I love Huda's matte formula. Metallic jellies, so that's a new formula, and then a unique new next generation shimmer swirl formula. Okay, so I think the metallic jellies and the shimmer swirls are new, right? We haven't seen those from her before. All of these palettes are packaged in the same way. They have that same size and shape as the regular Obsessions palettes. These are a heavy duty plastic and they have a locking clasp closure. These are not magnetic. And each palette does have a pretty decent little mirror in here. We're going to take a close-up look at each one of these palettes and I'm going to give you the rundown. Let's start with my favorite one. It's no secret, I love purple eyeshadow. If you've seen my favorites bundle with ColourPop, shameless plug, then you know that I love purple eyeshadow. So let's start with the Lilac palette. This is what the front of the palette looks like. The little design on the front kind of throws me off because it sort of reminds me of comic book, you know, when they're like bang, pow, but then pastels don't really fit with that for me. I guess they were just trying not to do something florally or too cutesy, which I'm okay with. Here's a close-up look at the Lilac palette. Now, of course, I've been using mine and swatching it and playing with it, so that little shimmer swirl is not quite as pretty as it once was, but you get the idea. None of these have shade names, so I'm just going to sort of have to describe them for you. We have 5 matte shades in here, and then this bluish purple feels like one of the jellies. It's a little bit softer. Then these 2 feel like regular shimmers, and then we have the shimmer swirl here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the swatches of this Lilac palette. For all the swatches you'll be seeing today, I will do both finger and brush swatches. No primer down first, just the shadows straight onto my arm. Finger swatches will be on top, and then each corresponding brush swatch will be directly below. As always, for my brush swatches, I'll be using my e.l.f. flat eyeshadow brush, and I'll clean the brush off in between each shade using my Veramona color switch. That way there's no shadow transfer between swatches. So let's take a look at the Lilac palette swatches now. Here are the swatches of the Lilac Pastel Obsession palette. And aside from the fact that purple is my favorite colorful eyeshadow color, this palette in particular has the best, most metallic shimmers. The other ones you'll see in the swatches are a lot more sheer. This one has really the best shimmer payoff of the 3. Now that you've seen the Lilac palette finger and brush swatches, let's take a look at the Huda Pastel Obsessions Lilac palette versus the ColourPop Lilac You A Lot palette. Here's just a side-by-side look at the 2 palettes first. I think you can already see the differences just looking at the pans. I'll say the first 3 shades swatched here are pretty similar, but after that, they really start to go in different directions. The Pastel Lilac has some more neutral shades, while Lilac You A Lot goes brighter and deeper. So same idea, but their name is what they have most in common, in my opinion anyway. Let's move on to the Huda Mint palette. Same outer packaging, Same little design on the front. This time it's just in a minty green. And then taking a close-up look in here, we see 4 matte shadows. Then we're getting 2 of the shimmer swirls. The one right in the middle here feels like one of the metallic jellies, and then 2 just regular shimmers, at least based on what the texture feels like to me. Let's take a look at the swatches of this Pastel Mint palette. Same style of swatches. Moving on to the Mint Pastel swatches, I think you can tell here these shimmers are a lot softer. I think they end up looking a lot more similar than the Lilac palette, and even the finger swatches are just very, very sheer. So I do love the last 3 shades swatched here. I wish we had more of that intensity throughout the palette. And now we're going to look at the swatches of the Huda Mint palette versus the ColourPop Mint to Be 9-pan palette. I think these 2 palettes look more similar in the pans than the previous comparison, but again, once they're swatched, you can really see a good maybe 3 shades that are similar. Otherwise, the Pastel Mint palette, again, a lot more neutrals, a lot softer. Mint to Be is way more intense. It's got some more deep shades, and overall, it's just quite a bit brighter as well. So again, not that similar to me. Lastly, we have the Huda Pastel Rose palette. Same packaging style, again, just a different color. And then looking inside here, we see 5 matte shadows, 1 of the shimmer swirls in the center. Then this yellow and the brighter pink in the top center here are the metallic jellies, and this lighter kind of peachy pink is just a regular shimmer. Here are the swatches of the Pastel Rose palette. The rose swatches are a lot more sheer with those shimmers as well, much like the Mint palette, but I love that these 2 more bright, intense pops of yellow show up in this palette in place of some neutral shades like the other 2 have. I think this is a cool idea. I do wish that all the shimmers were as bright as that yellow though. Now for this comparison to the ColourPop palettes, I am not comparing it to Baby Got Peach. A lot of people have been grouping Mint to Be, Lilac You a Lot, and Baby Got Peach, probably because ColourPop sells them in a little pastel trio. I've been seeing this picture pop up everywhere, which is kind of crazy to me because I actually took this photo for ColourPop. So everybody keeps showing this. I've seen it in like a bunch of drama channel videos. It's actually pretty cool. This rose palette is not like the Baby Got Peach palette at all. It's much more similar to the more recently released Blush Crush palette, and that's what I'm going to be comparing this rose palette to today. It's just a much better comparison, trust me on that. So let's take a look at those swatches. Right off the bat here, I think you can tell that the Blush Crush palette is warmer and darker than the Pastel Rose palette. And if you think that Blush Crush is warmer, just imagine how much warmer Baby Got Peach was. But anyway, same story here. I think the first 3 shades are pretty similar. Those are very standard shades as it is. But the rest of the palette really diverges in depth, intensity, and just color story. We've seen all the swatches, comparisons, we did all the info. Now it's time for my thoughts on these palettes. I have many. First of all, I think you can already tell from the comparison swatches, these Pastel Obsessions palettes are not in any way dupes of the ColourPop palettes. Other than the idea that they are small pastel palettes, they're not really similar at all. At most, some of the palettes have like 3, maybe 4 similar-ish shades, but the finishes are different. Overall, the color stories are very different because those ColourPop palettes are truly very monochromatic, and all of the Pastel Obsessions palettes have contrasting colors. So in the Mint, we're seeing these like sandy, peachy kind of shades. Rose has these bright yellows. The Lilac palette has these really warm neutral shades in here. The color schemes really aren't similar. The finishes really aren't similar. With these Huda palettes, it's more of this soft wash of color type of feeling. The mattes in here are just like her regular matte formula, but the new shimmer formulas are definitely more of that soft wash of color, more of a topper shade. I do think that the shimmers in all of these palettes really are gonna look the best when applied on top of some of the matte colors. They're not these really intense, foily, super metallic shades that personally I know and love from Huda Beauty. For me, it just seems like the whole vibe is very different. Color story's different. The idea behind these palettes is really different. So 100% see why people drew that comparison, but these are definitely not dupes. I don't think that Huda copied. Ultimately, I don't think it would be super repetitive to have the ColourPop and these in your collection, especially because I actually think these would be great companion palettes with those ColourPop palettes. That way you could get some more intensity in shimmers from the ColourPop ones. These can give you more of a topper and have some more of those contrasty type colors. Now, with that being said, I do wish that we were getting at least one of those really intense metallic shimmer shades in each one of these palettes. The new formula is cool, but it does sort of limit the range that each palette has because there aren't really any super highly metallic shades in here. It's always going to be that wash of color type of look. So I wish we were getting just one really, really bright shimmer in each one of these palettes, but at the same time I understand the vibe here and I do think that it's a cool idea. It's just not fitting necessarily with my personal style or preferences. I like a really metallic lid, okay? Now's the time when I want to hear what you think about these palettes. Are they on your wish list? Are you interested? Are you waiting for these to drop at Sephora? Also, let me know if you want to see 3 looks with each of these 3 palettes because I can definitely make a video like that for you if you're into it. If not, that's okay too. I just want to make things that are going to be helpful to you guys. So let me know down in the comments what you're thinking. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Huh? What? Okay, try that again for the 3rd time. Hold on, let me look something up real quick here. Shimmer, swirl, shimmer, swirl. Say that 10 times fast. Let's start with I don't know. And baby got beat. Baby. I think me 2 years ago would have been like, oh man, I wish that I was getting credits for this picture. And now I'm just like, whoa, cool. It's crazy how your perspective changes the longer you're in this business. Anyway. Huh? Ma'am? Not just because they're... Everyone just stare into my highlighter until I figure out what I'm gonna say. I should make a video about all the weird DMs and emails and stuff that I get that never see the light of day. The internet is a strange place. I think it's more good than bad for sure, but it gets weird. Anyway, on that note, bye.